What's going on in Central Florida? I'm Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Noah Bergen here. Here's the tropical weather outlook over the next 7 days. The latest from the Hurricane Center is we've got a 50% chance of development. We're watching August 3rd to 5th for impacts if we get any here in Central Florida, and let's monitor closely for developments over the next few days to the forecast. All right, so here's what you need to know. There's a lot of dust. There's a lot of shear. That's going to prevent any real development through Thursday. Now, Friday into the weekend, that's when I think it's fair to say that development is probable. Now, development, I mean into a tropical system. The track and the strength specifically is not known yet, but regardless of that uncertainty, a major tropical impact is not forecast to be possible for Central Florida this weekend. So that is good news. A lot of dust out there tonight, and if you looked at this, you probably wouldn't even be able to pick out where it is I'm referring to a tropical wave. Well, if you look at the infrared satellite, which is what I'm showing you, you really can't even see much. In fact, there's not a lot of thunderstorms out there tonight, and that's going to stay that way over the next few days. Now, a couple of things to make mention to you here. If you look on the visible satellite, you can see in this circle right here, there was a little bit of spin earlier today, some storms over here. Broadly, this east to west flow up here, but there's not really anything to point to of anything. So it's just a tropical wave at this point. So the steering flow this weekend is combined with two things. There's high pressure to the east, high pressure to the west over the Rocky Mountains, one over the Atlantic. Beneath that, there's broad east to west flow. And the question is, in part of the track, where in this gap between the high pressure domes does this thing go this weekend, which obviously plays a big part into what we see here. So here's the models tonight, where they are plotting the path of this system. The Euro ensembles in orange, the Euros in yellow, the Canadian in pink, the German model in blue. I think the European is probably the one that's most likely at this point, which would keep the center of a tropical depression, maybe a storm, tropical storm level thing off the coast, which would be named Debbie. But again, even in that European solution, you see that yellow track, this would be Saturday into Sunday. Should that shift any bit further west, obviously, then the Space Coast, Flagler, Volusia, Brevard counties, instead of getting some gusty showers, could end up getting tropical storm conditions. If it moves further to the east, then we could end up getting nothing in Central Florida, just completely nothing. So that's why the intensity, the track is uncertain. But again, I want to stress that in no scenario do I see this becoming the 11th hour major hurricane that's going to hit Florida. Here's a probabilistic way of expressing this uncertainty, and what I mean by that is this is what we call ensemble, which takes 50 different versions of the European model and blends them together. And notice the highest likelihood of this tropical system becoming a tropical storm in where its path is way offshore. That's where there's a 70% chance. Now notice, even over East Central Florida, if you follow those contours and look at the banner, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about a 40 to 50% chance of that passing the center over the Space Coast. So even though the most likely scenario keeps the center of whatever this becomes, whether it's a sloppy mess or a tropical storm that's strengthening, offshore. But there are plenty of the models that say, yeah, it could come close to the Space Coast or the east coast of Florida and give us something more notable this weekend. So that's why I say check back with us. We'll know much more over the next few days. Is it something to be super worried about? No. But the bottom line is it's a subtle reminder that even though we've had a few weeks of quiet after Beryl, the season is still going to be very busy, and this probably, just looking ahead at the data that we have over the next few weeks, I think this probably will be a system that kickstarts a very active spell that will not end until possibly the end of hurricane season. This probably will be the quote-unquote beginning of what is a very busy August, September, and October for tropical weather. Hopefully this one stays just kind of meh. Stays offshore. It doesn't impact many people. But again, it bears watching for this upcoming weekend.